Battle. Login. Did you mean to do something else? Search the web. No, please hide. Assistant A. The promise of every sunrise. A love story that spanned beyond time. Chapter 1. The fateful encounter. The morning mist hung low over the hills of Kashmir when Aarav first saw her. She was standing by the edge of Dal Lake, her flowing pink phiran catching the gentle breeze, her dark hair cascading past her shoulders like a waterfall of midnight silk. The year was 2019, and Aarav had come to Srinagar for a skiing assignment that he had initially dreaded. He had imagined grey skies and tourist crowds, not this breathtaking panorama of floating gardens and wooden shikaras cutting through the misty waters. Her name was Alina, and she was a local Kashmiri woman who worked at a small tea stall near the lake. When Aarav approached her, struggling with his limited Hindi and her soft Kashmiri accent, she laughed, a sound that reminded him of silver bells chiming in a gentle wind. That laugh would echo in his heart for years to come. "Can I have a cup of kawa?" he asked, attempting to pronounce the local traditional tea. Alina raised an eyebrow, a playful smile playing on her lips. "You want kawa, but your face says you want something else." Aarav was taken aback by her directness. "What does my face say?" "It says you are lost," she replied, handing him a steaming cup. And not just in Kashmir. There was something about her words that struck him deeply. Perhaps it was the way she seemed to see through his photographer's exterior, past the expensive camera and the confident demeanor, directly into the soul of a man who had been wandering through life without purpose. In that moment, staring into her warm brown eyes that held the depth of the mountains themselves, Aarav felt something shift within him. Chapter 2. The days that followed. What was supposed to be a 3-day assignment turned into 3 weeks. Aarav told himself he was waiting for the perfect light to photograph the valley. But in truth, he was waiting to see Alina again. He found himself returning to her tea stall every day, ordering kawa that he didn't particularly like, simply to hear her laugh and engage in conversations that always left him thinking long after he had left. Alina spoke about her dreams with an openness that surprised him. She wanted to open a chain of tea houses across India, ones that would serve not just tea but also tell the stories of Kashmir, its history, its beauty, its pain. She spoke of her father's death during the conflict, her mother's struggles to raise her and her siblings, and yet there was no bitterness in her voice. Only a quiet determination and an unwavering hope for tomorrow. "You photograph beauty," she told him one evening as they sat by the lake watching the sun paint the waters in shades of gold and orange. "But do you see it? Or do you only see through your lens?" Aarav had never been asked such a question. He realized that in all his years of photography, he had been so focused on capturing moments that he had forgotten to actually live them. With Alina, everything was different. She made him want to put down the camera and simply experience life as it unfolded before him. On his last day in Kashmir, he asked her a question that surprised even himself. "Would you come to Delhi? Just for a week? Let me show you the city that I call home." Alina's laughter was softer this time, tinged with something that looked almost like sadness. "Aarav, I cannot leave. My mother is old, my siblings need me. This is my home. Then I will stay," he heard himself say. Chapter 3. The struggle of two hearts. The next 2 years were a testament to the power of love tested by distance. Aarav returned to his advertising job in Delhi, but his heart remained in Kashmir. They spoke every day without fail. Video calls that sometimes lasted for hours, messages that filled the spaces between their conversations, and letters, old-fashioned handwritten letters that Aarav mailed every week despite the convenience of technology. There was something sacred about seeing Alina's elegant script on paper, something intimate about holding a piece of her in his hands across the miles. But distance was cruel. It amplified every insecurity, magnified every fear. Aarav watched his friends find love in the same city, shared dinners and weekend getaways that he could only imagine with Alina. He began to question whether what they had was real or simply a beautiful escape from reality. The breaking point came during the winter of 2020. Alina's younger brother Rizwan fell seriously ill, and the medical expenses drained their already limited savings. Aarav wired money without hesitation, but Alina refused it at first. "I am not a charity case," she said, her voice cold through the phone. "You are the woman I love," he replied. "There is no your money or my money. There is only ours." That night, after hours of tearful conversations, Alina finally accepted. And in doing so, she also accepted that loving Aarav meant accepting his whole heart, including his need to protect and provide for her. A pivotal moment arrived when Aarav received an offer to work as a photographer for a prestigious international magazine. The position was based in London, a career-defining opportunity that would take him even farther from Alina. He almost declined without telling her, but something made him share the news. Go, Alina said, her voice steady despite the tremor he could hear beneath it. This is your dream, and what about us? He asked. There was a long pause before she spoke again. If it is truly us, then distance will only make it stronger. If it is not, then London or Delhi or Kashmir will not matter. We will find out either way. Aarav boarded his flight to London with a heavy heart but also with a newfound respect for the woman he loved. She had just demonstrated the very thing that made her extraordinary, her selflessness, her understanding, and her unwavering belief in the power of love. Chapter 4. The Test of Time. London was a different world. The grey skies, the fast-paced life, the endless opportunities, it should have been intoxicating. Instead, Aarav found himself more lost than ever. The photos he took were technically perfect but emotionally hollow. His colleagues praised his work, but he felt like a fraud, a man going through the motions without any real passion. He threw himself into work, believing that busy hands would quiet his longing heart. He photographed celebrities and landscapes, royal events and street protests, but nothing filled the void that Alina's absence had created. He kept her letters in his hotel room, reading them on nights when the loneliness became unbearable, tracing the words with his fingers as if he could somehow touch her through ink and paper. Meanwhile, back in Kashmir, Alina was fighting her own battles. With the money Aarav had sent, Rizwan had recovered, and her tea stall had expanded into a small cafe. She named it Kawa Dreams, and decorated it with photographs that Aarav had sent her, pictures of Kashmir that captured its soul in ways that no tourist had ever achieved. The cafe became a success, drawing locals and tourists alike, and with each cup of tea served, Alina felt Aarav's presence beside her. But success came with complications. A wealthy businessman named Vikram began frequenting the cafe, showering her with attention and gifts. He was charming, successful, and most importantly, he was present. He could offer her the life that Aarav, despite his love, could not, the security of proximity, the comfort of sharing the same space, the simple pleasure of morning coffee together. You deserve more than phone calls and letters, Vikram told her one evening. I can give you everything. Alina looked at him, at his expensive suit and confident smile, and felt nothing. You can give me many things, she replied. But you cannot give me what Aarav gives me. And what is that? Hope, she said simply. Every conversation with him, every letter, every memory, it gives me hope for tomorrow. That is something money cannot buy. Chapter 5. The Return. 2 years after moving to London, Aarav received a phone call that changed everything. His mother had suffered a heart attack and was hospitalized in Delhi. He rushed back, terrified that he might lose her, and found himself by her bedside holding a hand he hadn't held in months. His mother's first words, when she finally opened her eyes, were unexpected. You look tired, Beta. Tired in your soul. Aarav realized in that moment that he had been running, from love, from commitment, from the very thing that could give his life meaning. He had built a successful career, traveled the world, achieved every professional goal he had set for himself, and yet he was emptier than ever. The success meant nothing without someone to share it with, without Alina's laugh to brighten his darkest days. He called her that night, not from his hotel room but from his mother's hospital corridor, and made a decision. I'm not going back to London. I'm coming home, to you. There was silence on the other end of the line, and then Alina's voice, thick with emotion. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything in my life, he replied. I spent 2 years chasing dreams that meant nothing without you. I want to chase our dreams together. In Kashmir, if you'll still have me. When Aarav landed in Srinagar 6 weeks later, after his mother had recovered and he had wrapped up his affairs in Delhi and London, Alina was waiting for him at the airport. She looked different, stronger, more confident, her eyes holding a wisdom that came from facing challenges and emerging victorious. But when she saw him, the smile that broke across her face was the same one that had captured his heart by Dal Lake 3 years ago. She ran to him, and he caught her in his arms, holding her so tightly that he could feel her heartbeat against his own. You came back, she whispered. I never left, he replied. Not really. My heart was always here. Chapter 6. Building a life together. The years that followed were a beautiful tapestry of love, struggle, and triumph. Aarav, with his photography skills, began documenting Kashmir in ways that brought international attention to its overlooked beauty. His exhibitions traveled across the globe, and with each sale, he and Alina funded the expansion of Kawa Dreams into multiple locations. The cafe chain grew, but its heart remained the same, a place where stories were shared over cups of tea, where the warmth of human connection was served alongside the traditional brews. Alina's dream had become their dream, and in pursuing it together, they discovered strengths in each other that they never knew existed. They argued sometimes, as all couples do, about business decisions and future plans, but they always found their way back to the simple truth that had brought them together, the belief that love was worth fighting for, that patience and understanding could overcome any obstacle, and that the greatest gift they could give each other was their presence. In 2026, they stood by Dal Lake where it had all begun, this time with a different kind of ring on Alina's finger. They had chosen a simple ceremony, surrounded by close family and friends, with the mountains as their witnesses. Alina wore a traditional red wedding phiran, and Aarav, for the first time since his arrival in Kashmir, wore a traditional sherwani. As they exchanged vows, Alina's voice trembled with emotion. Aarav, when I first met you, I thought you were just another tourist chasing beautiful images. But you showed me that you saw beauty in ways I never imagined. More importantly, you saw me, not just the girl who serves tea, but the woman with dreams and fears and hopes. You made me believe that I was worthy of love, and for that, I will be grateful forever. Aarav had to pause several times to compose himself before he could continue. Alina, I spent my whole life looking for something I couldn't name. I traveled to the ends of the earth searching for beauty and meaning, and it was here all along, in the mountains of Kashmir, in your eyes, in your laugh. You taught me that love is not about being in the same place or having everything figured out. It's about choosing each other, every single day, through distance and difficulty and doubt. I choose you today, and I will choose you tomorrow, and every day that follows. Chapter 7. The Promise of Every Sunrise. 10 years after their first meeting, Aarav and Alina sat on the same wooden shikara where they had shared their first real conversation. The lake was unchanged, still beautiful, still serene, but around them, everything had transformed. Their cafe had become a renowned destination, their photographs had been featured in prestigious publications worldwide, and most importantly, they had built a life filled with love, partnership, and mutual respect. Their children, twin girls named Maya and Leela, were now 7 years old, beautiful reminders of the love that had brought them together. They spent their summers on the lake, their winters by the fire, and their springs exploring the meadows of flowers that made Kashmir so magical. You know what I remember most about that first day? Alina asked, leaning her head on Aarav's shoulder. My terrible Hindi pronunciation, he teased. She laughed, the same silver bell sound that had captured his heart all those years ago. No, I remember thinking that you looked so lost, like a man searching for something he couldn't find. And I remember hoping that maybe, just maybe, I could help him find it. Aarav pressed a kiss to her hair. You didn't just help me find it. You showed me that what I was searching for wasn't a thing or a place. It was a feeling, a state of being, and you gave that to me. Every sunrise, Alina said softly. That's what you promised me on our wedding day. And every sunset, Aarav added. And every moment in between. The sun began to rise over the mountains, painting the waters in shades of gold and pink, and Aarav reached for his camera, not to capture the moment but simply to experience it. Alina was right, he had spent too long seeing through a lens instead of truly seeing. But now, with her hand in his and the beauty of Kashmir surrounding them, he didn't need a camera. He had everything he had ever searched for, and it was more magnificent than any photograph could ever capture. Epilogue. A letter to the dreamers. To anyone searching for love, do not look for it in grand gestures or fairy tales. Look for it in the small moments, the way someone remembers how you take your tea, the way they laugh at your worst jokes, the way they see you when you are at your most vulnerable. Love is not about finding a perfect person, it is about choosing an imperfect person every single day and building something beautiful together. To those currently fighting the distance, the miles, the time zones, the circumstances that keep you apart, hold on. True love does not measure itself in proximity but in commitment. If it is meant to be, no amount of distance can tear it apart. And if it is not meant to be, no amount of closeness can save it. To the dreamers, the hopeless romantics, the believers in love against all odds, this story is for you. May you find your Alina or your Aarav. May you find someone who makes every sunrise worth waking up for. And may you remember that love, in its purest form, is not about what you can get, it is about what you can give. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And the journey of love begins with a single choice, the choice to open your heart, to take a chance, and to believe that somewhere, somehow, there is a soul destined to complete yours. Until we meet again, Aarav and Alina.